What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. It is a Victory Monday. I know Pete had his reactions. He's on fire, man. Love everything he's doing. You got to check out his instant reaction if you haven't already. I've been out and about. I was down at the Hecht. I was at Las Rosas late last night partying. So getting my feet under me now, was able to watch the rewatch and just wanted to give my quick thoughts. We got Steve-O jumping on for a second to give his thoughts. But really big picture here. Here's what I'll say to start, which is the players have their own things they need to focus on. They're playing the games, right? They're the ones doing it. They got to focus on the next practice, the next workout, the next detail. They're the ones that actually have to do it. Us who just sit back and eat popcorn and sip our drink and watch and don't do anything. I think from our standpoint, as fans who have no impact on the outcome, just as fans, I think we need to change our mindset, because for so long it's been, let's just get through the coastal. Let's just get through the coastal. Let's take step by step, because we are so far away from these other teams that it's not even worth thinking about them. If we do, we're going to be depressed because we're going to realize how far back we are. But in the year 2025, we played on Sunday, which means Thursday, Saturday, we watched college football, if you're like me, all day. And you saw all the top teams. There were a lot of marquee games. When you watch all those games, you realize there's no Alabama prime walking through that door with Tua throwing to Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and 6 first-rounders on defense, running game. That's not there. That team does not exist. Alabama's in shambles, and there's no team like that. And we saw all the quarterbacks across the country. Let's just start there. And if you want to tell me, hey, I like DJ Lagway or Lenore Sellers, their talent, their physical ability, that'd be my pick. I won't fight you. But you cannot tell me that Carson Beck, with his experience, his poise, his accuracy, his talent, is not in the conversations with the best quarterbacks in the country. You cannot tell me that after this weekend of football. You also cannot tell me that there is a better offensive line, size, cohesion, athletic ability, push in the country, period. You cannot tell me that. Before this weekend, someone might have told me Notre Dame. You saw, not in the same league, not in the same universe, at least based on what we saw here on Sunday and the other offensive lines that we saw across the country. Our third running back was dragging Notre Dame defenders. Our third running back, that kind of running back depth and power all the way up and down, reminiscent of those old Alabama teams, those old Georgia teams. That was a trademark of theirs, and now you're seeing it here. I wouldn't trade our running backs for anybody in the country. We saw Jeremiah Love do nothing. When you talk about defensive players, I watched every game. You guys probably did too. There is not a single defensive player that I saw that was as dominant as Ruben Bain. And by the way, is Akeem Mesidor in shape on the other side, causing problems. Our secondary, hard to tell their coverage because they weren't tested at all at any point in the game, right? There was one fluky catch by Malachi Fields over OJ Frederick in perfect coverage. But other than that, it was screens, it was runs because they couldn't get open, or at least they didn't try to get open. Jaden Greathouse, I don't believe he arrived at the stadium. So our secondary is up there with any of the secondaries I saw across the country. Our kicker was the biggest question mark, and he banged the 48-yarder for the win. It could have been good from 65. So what I'm saying is this is not a perfect team. This is not an unbeatable team. I'll be sweating against USF just like everybody else. Forget November where we typically fade. But what I will say is this. There is no more big bad wolf that we have to be afraid of in college football. We can compete with any team in the country. And we always talk about Charlotte. And Charlotte, if you're the player, you got to be focused on, again, the next step, the next step, the next step. And of course, Charlotte's somewhere Miami's never won in terms of the ACC championship. But this is a roster, now having seen everybody, that is built to contend not only for Charlotte, but for January 19th, 2026 at Hard Rock Stadium. That's, as a fan, we don't have to do anything. So we can think like this. That should be the mentality shift, is this team has the ability to get to January 19th at home. And that's obviously what we're hoping for. And it's not just hoping and wishing. It is something that is realistic. So that is my big takeaway after this game. And that's my mindset shift. this team can win the national championship. Will they? That's why we're going to watch. Like I said, I'm going to be having heart attacks during USF, much less Florida and all these other ACC games down the road. With this team, based on what I saw across the country, and if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments. I didn't see a team that I think is above what the University of Miami showed you this weekend from a complete football standpoint. And with that, I will bring on the man with the educated feet, Steve-O. I know you're in the lab working on breakdowns right now. Plus, you're going to be on the field, your other lab, working on some wide receivers. So I only got you for a second. But, hit me with your thoughts, just big picture after what you've seen.
Yeah, just to rattle off what you're saying, the no more big bad wolf. We're no longer that team that was Notre Dame's defensive line, smaller, quicker, trying to, shoot gaps versus a bigger offensive line. That was the Miami's defense and Miami's for a long time, but no longer. We are 6'5", 6'4", 3+, 320 plus, lean, tall, at every position in the trenches. I mean, we have speed guys as well. You think about the Pickett's, Malik Bryant's, but they also have size. We have so much size in the interior, on the tackles positions, on the edge. Just big picture. I mean, there's no team that could just bully us for 4 quarters. I just don't want to hear it. I mean, Notre Dame tried, and we just continue to show them, hey, we're going to run to the football, rally, wrap up. So this big picture, I mean, taken away from this game, the way we dominated the line of scrimmage, I mean, I don't see an ACC team other than Clemson that will have to even face with the type of offense and defensive line that Notre Dame brought out there. Obviously, week 1, but very impressed with how it was. And it's just, we didn't get those sexy 60, 50 plus yards on the ground on the one pop. But when you look into the combination blocking, the cohesion of, okay, we had a Lofton and Gilbert block that was just magnificent, that a run that went for 4 yards. But I'm telling you right now, there's somebody outside of me, there's somebody right now with a laser pen saying, good job, hyping them up, because, man, 3-yard game. But when I talk about a combo block from 2 young guys, you're like, okay, like, the whole team is physical. You see the receivers, and it looked like Ron Dugas was coaching the receivers the way they were blocking. they were physical, man. We just looked super physical across the board at all positions. Just so we can actually really take this and look, when games go down later in the year, we know how much the trenches are involved. You're not winning without the trenches. I mean, you're not going to even you might get to the dance like TCU did, and then it caught up to them versus that Georgia team. I mean, there was no way they were going to win that game. There is no team that's going to be able to just bully us. And I think just watching there last night, guys, the stadium was electric. The way the crowd and the team just constant energy from, even with the game not going well, just constant energy, constant plays within the plays. Yeah. I know you were there, D-Money. You felt it, man. It felt great, man. It really did. There was no doubt, even when things started getting shaky and Notre Dame, like as championship caliber teams do, start fighting back. There was still no doubt that we were going to get it done.
No, man. And, I want to talk about somebody here, but real quick. Oh, Kyle says, dang, you just got out of bed, D. No, I've been up. I've been at the heck for 4 or 5 hours. So we've been working, man, but had to do this when Pete covered the morning. But Steve-O, people say I was hyping Malachi Toney because I said, and the truth was I was holding back. That's the funny thing is, like, I was hyping him up, telling everybody, guys, this guy's going to have a major role. He's been the best skill player on this offense, at least most consistent, probably since camp started. So that was I was holding back the praise. I wasn't trying to lay it on. But you, before even me, used the word generational to describe Malachi Toney. You watch something like just as simple as the whip route he ran to get open, the efficiency of the footwork, the way he kind of, when he was coming across, he really flattened that, right, to give Carson Beck that angle on that play, the touchdown play, right, where he could have kind of drifted towards the corner and he cut it across, made it really easier. I don't know, really easier for Carson Beck. The details, everything he does. He's not Jeremiah Smith physically. Why did you call him generational?
Yeah, people overuse that word. I hate it now. Everybody's generational. Jeremiah Love apparently is generational. But nah, he's generational because otherworldly understanding of the game. So when you're running that whip route, there's two ways to run it. When you have that man coverage look and when you have that zone coverage look, there's going to be on the review coming out shortly on CanesInSight. I'm going to give you a look on both because he ran it against both. So the play that D Money is referring to, right? So he's trying to sell that mesh, right? That drag route. When you're in man coverage and you have that drag route, that is hard for you to cover as a defensive back, man. You have to giddy up and run across the field. That is one of the easiest man beaters. Everybody knows that. Run straight across. It's hard to cover. So when you get that going, you're attacking that defender's outside shoulder, right? Because once you press that, that's when they know, hey, he's crossing my face. I got to get up and run. So that's the reason why it's so important to get out in two steps, right? So you're
Hold on. Are you guys hearing Steve-O?
Are you D Money?
Yeah, I hear you now. Sorry, it might have been me. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So
yeah, that was you. Go ahead and start from the top then, because they didn't hear you.
So it's a mesh route. So you're trying to sell that drag coming across, and so he's attacking that DB's outside shoulder. And so once that's the DB's indicator, okay, hey, it's time for me to start running across. There's drag coming. So you get in there and it's boom, boom, left, right, and I'm out of there in quick seconds. But then he does something what we call getting negative. That was a 3-yard route. We don't care if you catch it at 3 yards. You see how he starts going back towards that line of scrimmage? That creates more separation between him and the DB. That's what gave him an extra 2-3 steps on him as he made his way over. So that's called getting negative. I'll actually be doing a little bit. I saw something from Marion as well about that. But yeah, Mally's going to do that all day. He's been doing it since high school. He did it in the 7-on-7 time, but very polished. Like polished isn't even the word, just very just cerebral. Because his footwork is there, his knowledge is there, but he's like a supercomputer. He just processes information so fast. So that's why I call him generational, because it doesn't really matter what you're trying to do to take him away. He processes what you're trying to do and counters so quickly because he has unlimited tools in his bag. He has releases. He has ways to get open at the top of the route. He has second level avoidance. He shook the life out of 15 at the top of a route for a slant for a first down. Easy money, ate the cushion up. Pop, pop. Had that boy over there doing the cha-cha on a wet surface too. Imagine regular day at Hard Rock. I mean, very, very like skilled.
Yeah, man. So you're freezing for a second here, so I'm going to come back to you in a bit. But yeah, man, it was a display, and Michael Quinones mentioning that these guys got really, really good corners, and you had Malachi dealing with those guys. So, I mean, that's next level when you talk about 17-year-old going against possibly the best defensive back group in the country, if not the one that we got here in Green Tree. And I'll get Steve out of here for a second. I know he's got to run, so if he unfreezes like the Encino man, we'll bring him back. But yeah, man, unbelievable performance by Malachi Toney. And shout out to Steve-O, who said generational back long time ago, man. He was the first one really I heard say it, although they call him baby Jesus, so maybe people have been saying it for a while. But yeah, overall, I mentioned my big picture thoughts. This is again, tell me in the comments on being a homer. I know I'm a homer, so tell me if I'm wrong, but I watch a lot of college football, guys. I watch every single big game. I watch highlights of all the little games just to see how guys look physically and all that. How many quarterbacks are you saying? Like, are you saying Carson Beck's not in the conversation with the other quarterbacks? I can't hear that. If you're saying our offensive line's not the best, maybe which one's the best and how far is the gap? It can't be too far because these guys are big, athletic, and they play together. And they just dominated Notre Dame. Notre Dame's complaining. If you go to the Notre Dame boards, they're crying about both of sides of the line. But on certain the defensive line, they have not been. They had 4 pressures yesterday. I posted this on CanesInSight. Let me see if I can find the tweet. So they had 4 pressures in the entire game. Last time Notre Dame had 4 pressures in the entire game was 2017, and they were playing Navy. Think of the offensive Navy runs, how many passes they're calling. So that was the last time, 2017, that Notre Dame's gotten 4 pressures or less on a team. So just complete dominance when you talk about the offensive line from a pass protection standpoint. They had a couple of blitzes that got home, but really it wasn't much. And a couple of those pressures, I think, were touchdowns from Carson Beck. So that's the offensive line. The defensive line, Ruben Bain, and Messidor. Messidor's lost weight, looks quick, explosive, changing directions. He's really, really taking care of his body like a pro, as is Ruben Bain. And I think you see the results. These are 265, 270, 275 pound defensive ends. So they're strong, they're sturdy. Ruben Bain's run defense on Sunday was otherworldly. But then also the guys can get up after the passer. So look at this team and just how it's built. When you talk about pass rushers, when you talk about quarterback with experience and poise and accuracy, when you talk about offensive line, defensive tackles, we'll get to those guys in a second, but they certainly didn't. I didn't see Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on other teams where you say, oh, wow, it's a whole nother level from what we got. I saw a 5-star running down the sideline forcing a fumble. I saw Ahmad Moden doing whatever he wanted to those Notre Dame guards who are supposed to be some of the best in the country. I mean, literally just blowing by him without getting a finger on him. I saw David Belay looking big, physical, explosive. If I would have told you that's a 5-star recruit, you would have said, yeah, that checks out, right? So when you really look at our roster, it is as complete as we could hope for in this era of college football. Now they got to finish the job. And the job is just starting. It's week 1. And January 19th is the goal. January 19th is a long time away. So obviously a lot of work to be done, but that's my big takeaway. And I'm saying it because I want someone to challenge me and say, like, D, you're not watching enough college football, but like, where are these guys that are so much better than what we have? I don't see that right now. That's how built up this roster has been from Mario Cristobal. And just as I go through sort of my thoughts on the position and get the comments and it going, because I want to interact with you guys. 1800 on live, by the way. Like and subscribe to this show. But, Mario Cristobal, we'll start with him. And we've heard all the questions about everything, the Georgia Tech debacle. That's always going to be part of the story. Some of the stuff that happened at Oregon from a game management standpoint, just sort of the reputation there, the collapse last year against Syracuse. These are all obviously valid things that he's not going to run away from. But I think when you take a step back and you say, FIU with no resources, conference championship, probably the best teams they ever had. Oregon with resources, top 5 finish, you win the Rose Bowl, back when winning the Rose Bowl actually mattered. And now Miami, you're looking at what should be a top 5 football team when the polls come out, if the polls are credible, considering what was done on the field to prove it and the completeness of the team. And playing in the biggest games on primetime TV year 4 with, if you got Bezos in the crowd, Dana White, all kinds of Hall of Famers, Jim Kelly, Irvin, Edgar and James, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson. I mean, Ray Lewis. How many Hall of Famers were there in that stadium, on top of whoever else? So where the program is now, I think we could safely say it is at a high level. There's about 3 programs taken to a high level relative to their resources. And at this point, all you could say is he has a proven blueprint for building winners for all the flaws that you want to point out. And I think when you do it over 3 stops, and look, this is week 1, there's still a lot more meat on the bone for Miami, but it's pretty clear at this point that the trajectory of the program is possible to deny, I think. Now you're starting to build a track record of consistently building from winners, achieving and executing that blueprint that you take to these different spots. So all you could say is I think we got the right guy for the Miami Hurricanes in the year 2025, and I'm glad he's our coach. If you want a coach for your case, Anajar and Levine accident attorneys, because if you or someone you care about is in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. So let's go position by position here. So I want to get to some of these guys. Drew, appreciate your comment here. Says, great call about Carson and Cam having so much quarterback experience. That is a separator. Let's start there. Watched all the college football this weekend. You guys have heard me my spiel. Portal quarterbacks, to me, is the way to go. Look at Arch Manning, who's entering year 3, I want to say, right? Is this his 3rd year? Yeah, he's eligible. So this is his 3rd year. Still very green. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to be a really good player, but still very, very green early in his development. They lost the game. Julian Sain, the 5-star for Ohio State. I mean, average. I think you can get a million guys in the portal to do what he does for you at Ohio State at a cheaper cost. You talk about some of the other younger players, they just not necessarily getting to where you want them to go. And then the experience factor of a Carson Beck, who's been in these kind of games, was calming presence, ran the offense, he threw maybe one turnover-worthy pass, which is the one that C.J. Daniels caught for a touchdown, which I'm going to get to that story in a second. But generally, really did a nice job protecting the football and making good decisions because he is now 20. What's his record now as a starter? 25-3. Another top 10 win, another packed stadium to add to his repertoire. I think this is This is a quarterback whose poise and experience are hard to beat anywhere in the country. And experience, in my view, we talked about with Cam Ward last year. Looked at Jalen Daniels, Bo Nix. Experience is what matters. Experience is what wins championships. Experience is what wins games. So I will continue to bang the drum for portal quarterbacks. That, to me, is the name of the game in college football when you're spending your money. I think Carson Beck's money well spent. Just looking at his overall performance, a lot of the talk's going to be about how we got conservative at the end. And I think there's fair criticism of what Miami did towards the end, running the football, 4 straight drives where you didn't really get it going, and you really did play it safe. My sense, and I don't know, I've not debriefed with the coaching staff or anyone on the coaching staff. This is just my take from watching it. And I did hear the press conference from the OC, Shannon Dawson, from Mario Cristobal. My sense is they had such a good secondary, Notre Dame, probably the best in the country if ours doesn't surpass it with some of the corners we have. But let's say they had the best pass defense, best secondary in the country. I think there was some trepidation week 1 where you have some inexperienced receivers, some guys that haven't played a ton with Carson Beck. He's only been throwing with these guys really for 1 camp and half a summer. They're our first game, passing offenses are sloppy all over the country. Do we really want, in a close game, let's say like a Leonard Moore, when he's experienced Notre Dame corners, is going against somebody and like gets handsy, which those guys do, maybe pulls a jersey and gets away with it, bats the ball down, it goes up in the air, gets intercepted, something like that. I think, I'm not saying this is the right or wrong decision. What I'm saying is I just think that in this particular game, they were concerned about Notre Dame's secondary above all else on Notre Dame's team, certainly everything else on Notre Dame's defense. I think that led to their decision to be concerned because we ourselves were more inexperienced in the passing game due to Carson Beck being injured and due to having a lot of young players. So I think that's really what you saw. And I think over the course of the season, as Beck gets more experience with these guys, as other guys get healthier, get more playing time, I think you will see more trust in the passing game because Carson Beck, I don't think this was an indictment on Carson Beck saying like, hey, we're taking the ball out of his hands. I think they probably trusted the ball in Carson Beck's hands. It was more to me about the receivers and them not having that time and that timing going against your first game, the best secondary in the country potentially. It's only going to get easier from there. So I think that all played into why they played it safe. Was it right or wrong? I mean, it worked out. I could see arguments to the other side. So I'm not taking one side or the other. I'm just trying to explain what I think was the thought process that went into that. You also, interestingly, one thing Shannon Dawson said in his presser is that he had so much faith in Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor and those guys. They didn't know if Notre Dame had no timeouts, that they would have a very hard time scoring with that pass rush coming after him. So he said he put a lot of faith in the pass rush as the offense coordinator, which is interesting. You don't usually hear about that kind of interplay. But yeah, that was a good performance by Beck. I think he's going to get better and more spectacular as time goes on and he gets more comfortable. Other side, CJ Carr, man, I'm very impressed by CJ Carr. I thought he was the best young quarterback we saw all week. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be the best young quarterback over the course of his career, but if we're just talking about this weekend, I liked him, man. I liked him. I liked the way he moved, his lateral quickness, some of the decision-making. He made a couple bad throws as far as decisions, but I thought overall good decision-making. He made an incredible play on that first touchdown where he was looking off everybody and kind of no-looked it to the corner. And that was a big-time play when you look at the eye manipulation that he showed. I just liked his attitude, man. I'm a CJ Carr fan. I got to say, after seeing him in this game, that's the kind of quarterback I like. If I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm pretty encouraged by that whole deal. And yeah, the whole thing was that Notre Dame had this Ferrari offense with the new receivers and Jeremiah Love and this great offensive line, and then CJ Carr was going to hold them back. The truth is, if you watch the game, the offensive line got completely destroyed by Ruben Bain and Mesidor and the defensive tackles. I think their pass rush grades across the board are like abysmal when you look at Pro Football Focus, which it's not the end-all be-all, but I mean, I can tell you to watch the tape, they were getting knocked back. So the offensive line got smoked. The receivers did nothing aside from that one catch from Malachi Fields on good coverage. And Jeremiah Love and the backup running back did nothing relative to what you expect them to do. So the running game was really CJ Carr running, and then he made a lot of plays kind of outside the script throwing it. So the opposite of what you thought was going to happen, where, hey, Notre Dame lost because CJ Carr held back all these thoroughbreds. The truth was CJ Carr was the one, in my view, that was making the plays. So shout out to him. He was really, really exceptional. And by the way, before I even get it up to the running backs, I want to say environment was awesome. Everybody was out there at the Rock. Everybody said, what's up? Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the licking for getting us ready before the game. But that atmosphere was awesome. And it's like, if you're watching, so if you're at the stadium, let's say you're Bezos' stepson or stepdaughter, I forgot which one is the one at UM. If you're Dana White's daughter, you're any one of these influential, powerful people that's at that game, or just a regular person at this game that's just looking at Miami, that game had to be super impactful to be at that kind of game, or just to watch it on TV. If you're somewhere just a college football fan turning on ABC or ESPN to watch a game on Sunday and there's the only game in town, that was a super entertaining game, incredible plays, packed house, just Hall of Famers everywhere. It was just such a vibe. And I think to have that moment teed up where Miami has a lot of momentum behind them as a school, as a place people want to go to college, and then to deliver like that, both with the atmosphere, with the game quality, and then Miami winning the game, I thought was a home run and couldn't have been any better from that standpoint, which to me is pretty important. But like CJ Carr, and let's start with CJ Carr, or sorry, CJ. So let's start with CJ Daniels. Let's start with CJ Daniels and the wide receiver position, because just to show you, man, like we as older guys, I'm 40. We got some other guys that are I know are in the chat that are older or as old. It's hard for us to take ourselves back to like being a new fan. But me having young kids, my oldest son just turned 11. The other one is 9, and they both are really starting to become Canes fans. Cam Ward, Cal, Restrepo, catching it on his back. These are the kind of things that made them fans, and now really made them fans for life. CJ Daniels catch. My son went to a pool party. I just saw my wife. She just came back from the pool party, and she said that at that pool party, everybody was doing the CJ Daniels catch. They were all talking like, did you see that? Look at me. I'm going to do it. Throw the mid-ball. It's those kind of things that really make an impact on young fans. And we lose sight of it, the older guys who we just want that 6th championship, right? But these moments, and there were a lot of them last year, more than we probably remember because we think about Syracuse, but there was a lot of fun things that brought in new fans. I think that's continuing. So we're becoming a show where it used to be, something that was just hard to watch at times. And now it's becoming quickly must-see TV, which is the way the Miami Hurricanes need to be. But I want to shout out my guy here, my guy Carlton. So CJ Daniels' dad. So one of the cool things about doing storm sessions, which I do for the University of Miami, get to sit down with these student athletes and just talk to them in a very comfortable setting, learn more about their lives. We did a CJ Daniels storm sessions, I want to say a few months ago during spring. And he was awesome. Great guest, super mature. You could tell why he was such a good leader in that receiver room, is such a good leader in that receiver room. So anyways, part of that process is you talk to the family to learn more about the player. In this case, I talked to CJ's dad, Carlton, who himself was a former athlete. He runs Subliminal Athlete, positive affirmations, just a lot of motivational techniques and things to really help athletes perform the best they can from a mental standpoint. So if you're into that stuff, check out Subliminal Athlete, spelled just like it sounds. Just Google that one. But anyways, so Carlton would always tell me, listen, man, you don't know how good this guy is. This guy's going to make, not that I was doubting him. I knew he was good. And I was pumping him up, but he's basically saying everybody doesn't know how good this guy is and the kind of things that he can do. So he was injured at the time. He comes back to spring and still working his way back. But towards the end of spring, he made one of the most spectacular catches in the indoor practice facility. I was actually there when it happened. But then I also got a text afterwards from Carlton with the catch. So remember, keep in mind, this is April, right? This is April of this year. How many months ago? Almost 5 months ago. Take a look at this catch. All right. I'm going to play the catch right now. You tell me if you notice anything. Emory Williams at quarterback. Let's see the catch. Tell me if you notice anything here. Does that look familiar? Right there over Xavier Lucas and Markeith Williams. Let's run that one back. Look at this catch. This is one of his first practices back from his foot surgery. So point is, he's been doing this, man. He has been one of the most talented contested ball catchers, catch radius guys in the country. And he's showing that. And yeah, man, I was not surprised. I was excited when I saw that catch, but I was not surprised when he made that catch, because that is what he does, man. He is a special talent when it comes to those contested catches, and he's a great leader. And I think it's going to be a fun season with him and Carson Beck. I think he does a lot of things that Carson Beck likes, particularly that catch radius and the contested catch ability. So shout out to CJ Daniels, shout out to Carlton, shout out to a Subliminal Athlete, man, and shout out to everybody over there. I was lucky, man. I saw CJ at the Hex when I was there, talked to him, was able to tell him the story. So he wanted me to give his dad a shout out. So shout out to Carlton. But yeah, man, that was cool. That was a cool moment. Malachi, we already talked about him with Stio. Everybody knows what I think about him. That guy's unbelievable. Let's see here. Good questions here. We got a couple good questions I want to get to. All right. So Clutch is asking, appreciate your support as always. How do you feel about the calls? More so, were they in discipline? Was it more the officiating? Maybe I'm being a homer. Last year's flags were an issue. I had to see the personal foul and that kickoff. I don't know what happened there, or the punt, the one that we had to go 15 back. I don't know. I thought honestly overall, and maybe I'm being a homer. If I'm, tell me in the comments. I thought we played a pretty clean game for the first game of the year. 0 turnovers. We out turnover them, which is Notre Dame always wins the turnover battle. That's one of their signatures as a team. We're able to win the turnover battle 2-0. So that's a sign to me of clean play for the first game of the year. I thought penalty wise, aside from that personal foul, I thought we were pretty good. There were a couple penalties I didn't agree with. I didn't think the Sampson hold was really a hold. I got to go back and watch it close, I guess. But overall, I thought it was clean. The officials towards the end made a couple calls that I didn't love. Not some of them I thought were fair. But at the end of the day, the better team won. And I think it's like Jimmy Johnson said in '88, don't leave the game in the officials' hands. I don't think Miami did that. I think they won because they were the better team. Alan's Augustin says, how much do you think this game, appreciate your support, asking how much do you think this game really affects those recruiting flips we're chasing? I think it's significantly. I'll talk to everybody. I'll talk to my people and get some news for the bank, which I'll drop this week. But there were a lot of people in the crowd that enjoyed that. And it wasn't just the win, it was the vibe. It was the energy, man, the attitude. I was talking to somebody today, DJ Jacobs, who's one of the elite players in the class of 2027. I'm talking about top 5 in the country player. And he was saying that he didn't expect the crowd to be that loud. He was probably negative recruited a little bit. Miami's not going to have fans. So then he goes there and it's packed. He's like, oh, that's different than I thought. That's different than I was told. So I think those are kind of cool things that you get from a game like this, with that great atmosphere and that great delivery on all the hype. So I do think it's going to help with flips. There's no question about that. I think we're on the right track. Oh, CF says the Sampson hole was good. There's a reverse view that shows the grab. Yeah, that's possible. I think the pass interference, the poiser, that seemed like a flag too. The officials got a little loosey-goosey towards the end, but at the end of the day, I think the better team won. So I'm not going to be here complaining about the officials. So we won. If we lost, I'd probably be complaining a lot. but Miami won the ball game. Other receivers, Keelan Marin, I think showed you what he can do. I want to address this because, so in spring, if you guys listen to the show in spring, and by the way, those of you who listen to the show every day and now you see in the game, were we off on a lot of stuff? I mean, I'm pretty sure what you guys saw in the game was what we've been talking about for a few months. We don't have crystal balls, but I don't think anyone who listens to the show on a consistent basis was surprised by some of the guys that played, some of the guys that made plays, some of the ways guys played. You saw Toney, Josh Moore, Bryce Fitzgerald all getting meaningful playing time with the offense and defense, which freshmen have we been talking about. So again, those are the kind of things that if you listen to this show, we're not just saying it to say it. Sometimes we can't tell you straight up, so you got to read between the lines a little bit, but I try to give it to you as real as I can. And another thing too is because Notre Dame was the first game, I was very much cautious with what I said to an extreme. Like even Malachi Toney, I was worried about hyping him up. He was even better than I was hyping. And I knew that. He did it in practice. But a couple of things I couldn't say at all that I think we can talk about now. And I see the question from HJS about JoJo. Here's the reality. JoJo Trader and Elijah Lofton, who I thought were the two best players from an offensive standpoint in spring. And I thought were going to be the two kind of key cogs of this offense here in this season, 2025. They were banged up in camp, right? So you had Lofton on a pitch count. You had JoJo on a pitch count. They were banged up. They weren't necessarily tuned up with Beck to the way you'd want, because when Beck came in and was really healthy to throw, they were out. When those guys were tearing up spring and were the two best players on the offense, Beck was out. So that's the story with there, is that those guys were just banged up and on a pitch count in camp. So now I think what's going to happen is as time goes on and they get more and more time to time up with Beck, to heal up. You're going to see those guys get much more of a role in this offense, similar to what you thought coming out of spring, where those two were, in my opinion, the best players in spring. And again, if you're doubting me, if you don't think what I'm saying is accurate, how much did we talk about JoJo and Lofton in the camp compared to how much we talked about them in the spring, right? I can't just go out and say, hey, these guys are banged up. They're sitting next to me on the sideline. But that's what it is. I think it just kind of got eased in, and the timing is going to improve. The timing is going to get better as they get more time with Carson back, as they just get more comfortable. You're going to see just much more from both of those guys. And we'll see how it goes. But I think that's something to keep an eye on as we go from week 1, or whatever, week 0, whatever week you want to call this. I guess it's week 1. Yeah, from week 1 on, you're going to see more and more, in my view, of JoJo Trader, more of Elijah Lofton as they get healthier and do more what they can do. So that's those guys. Again, Keelan Marin, great job, I thought. We talked about Daniels. You saw a lot of guys play. Ray Joseph got some playing time. Josh Moore got some playing time. Had that tough drop, which was behind him. It was a blitz. Just didn't get timed up right. So we'll see those guys get more and more time. Appreciate you, Jose. Johnny Lagoon says Lickin' was a great event, by the way. That was a lot of fun. Lickin' treated us great. The food was great. Everybody there was told me, they're like, man, that food's even better than I thought. I said, I told you. Very convenient. It took 2 seconds to get to the stadium. Johnny Lagoon wants to know about Vernell Brown versus Malachi Toney. I love both those guys, man. I mean, they're, to me, cut from the same cloth because they're just both elite mental guys, and those who know just kind of what I like in a player. The guys that are elite mental guys, and then also have like the football instincts and the football ability. Those are the guys I just want to bet on because you know what you're going to get. You don't have to stay awake worrying if they're going to do something stupid or not take something serious or lose focus. Those guys are very much high end from a focus standpoint. So that's why those are two guys that I really respect a lot and value a lot. Malachi's our guy, so that's my guy. I think he's going to be one of the best receivers we ever had. One man over tour asking, how did Fitzgerald do? I mean, he didn't really get tested, but he was out there on the third and long defense, right? So every time it was like an obvious passing third down, he came out. So I think he got like 9 to 10 snaps with the defense where he was playing at that deeper safety position with his ability to read the ball, make plays. By the way, I almost got 3,000 on right now. Like and subscribe to the show. What are we doing out here? Like and subscribe. But yeah, so those are the pass catchers. Offensive line, El Rico saying Francis Mauno is a bulldozer. That's what he is, man. He's a monster. We had the best offensive line in the country, period, point blank. I said it earlier. Four hurries for Notre Dame. The least hurries since they played Navy in 2017, a team that doesn't throw. So just an unbelievable performance, and they also were able to we outran Notre Dame. I think when you subtract let me pull up the stats. I'm curious about this. I think when you subtract, we outran a period by a small amount, but we outran them. I think when you subtract, so the overall rushing, Miami, it was not actually a small amount. So Notre Dame rushed for 94 yards. Miami rushed for 127 yards. And when you look at Notre Dame's running game, Jadarian Price had 45. Jeremiah Love had 33. So that's 77 yards from just the running backs. And when you look at Miami, our running backs ran for 125 yards. So almost double what Notre Dame did from just the running backs. Pretty good offensive line performance right there. When you combine that running game with the fact that we had the least amount of hurries that Notre Dame's had since 2017. So I don't know what more you want to do. Best offensive line in the country, size-wise, athletic ability-wise, toughness-wise, cohesion-wise, experience-wise, coaching-wise. It is the best offensive line in the country, excluding nobody. If you think someone's better, let me know. I would put Utah. That's probably the other team in that conversation that I would buy. But certainly SEC, Big Ten, ACC, this is the best offensive line, period. Tell me if there's another one, because I didn't see one that was even in the conversation. They said it was supposed to be Notre Dame and not the same building. Arguing brothers saying, let's see some diversity in the running game. This dive runs can't always be it. I think really, again, the key to understanding our running game is we just don't take losses. We never lose yards, and we're able to consistently gain yards. Obviously, you want to gain more than we gained and have some of those big runs like they were close, get there. But I think overall it's about putting Carson Beck and the year before Cam Ward in a position to succeed because he's not at 2nd and 12. He's never in third and 9 because he lost 3 yards on a run. It's always positive, and it's always giving you a chance to then make an efficient, safe decision as a quarterback and not have to worry about doing too much because you're behind the sticks. So I think that is that's a feature of our running game, and we're able to play that way because we have size. When you have that very basic conservative type of running, it's not basic. It takes a lot of work and thought, and that's why we have the best offensive line coach in the country, in my opinion, along with the best offensive line in the country, in my opinion. But one of the reasons you're able to play that way is because you have those big offensive linemen, because you have those big running backs, and they can push and they can just use their size in a way that is unusual for the average player because they're just not built that way. They don't have that kind of size. Their third running back is not 220 pounds with power and experience. So I think that is a major difference when you talk about our running game versus others. It doesn't say, look, I'm not saying one way is right or wrong. I'm just trying to explain why this is the way we do it. And so far, the results have been, to me, very, very strong. A lot of people asking about buzzing. They're asking how many buzzins did I have yesterday? Well, to answer the question, after the game, I went to Las Rosas right there in Allapattah. That's Mike Ryan's bar. If you're ever in Allapattah, really, really cool bar. Not necessarily a sports bar, but a cool place to hang out. And I brought my buzzin, and they didn't let me in at first because you're not allowed to bring outside drinks, and I'm not a drinker. But they let me in. I pulled some strings. I was able to drink the buzzin there. So I had one, but it was a very tasty buzzin given the victory that we just had. So listen, if you want buzzin, drink buzzin.com, BUZZN. And then it's in retailers all over the country. The biggest one in South Florida, probably Big Daddy's Liquors, which you Big Daddy's Liquors, if you're in South Florida, they are all over the place. Go to Big Daddy's Liquors, grab yourself a case of buzzin, BUZZN, 7.5 grams of real THC, no hangover, just vibes. So, buzzin is the name of the game. And yeah, I did enjoy a cold buzzin after that win. Let's see what's going on here. 904 saying it's 1-0, nothing more, nothing less, especially when it comes to the history of this Miami team. Look, if you're the players, that's right. That's the attitude you got to have. We are not the players. We don't have to play the game, so we can have whatever attitude we want. And I think right now it's not 1-0. It's about the team and the way it looks and the way it feels. And it was big boy football yesterday. And we've not been a big boy football team for a long, long time where we can say, all right, our quarterback's going to match up with you. Our offensive line is going to match up with you. Which last year we got to that point. It took a while. Now we could say our defensive ends, our pass rush is going to destroy your tackles who you thought were some of the best in the country. Your receivers, Jaden Greathouse, guys, the receiver for Notre Dame, this guy destroyed Penn State and Ohio State with big plays in the playoffs. I mean, look at his stats in the playoffs. I'll pull up his game log, but he was unbelievable. He had some major plays in the playoffs against the best defensive backs in the country at that time. Fast forward to yesterday. I don't believe he had a catch. Maybe he caught a screen and I missed it, but he was a no-show. I'm pulling up now. Yeah, there's no stats. So he didn't do anything yesterday. He did not have a catch. And if you look at the two games prior to this last game, where again, 0. So here's his games log. Jaden Greathouse. Okay. Playoff game, Penn State, Final Four of college football, the Orange Bowl. 7 catches, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. College football championship, the last game of the season, the big one. 6 catches, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. Miami, Hard Rock, going against O.J. Frederick, Xavier Lucas, Ethan O'Connor, Damari Brown. Stats do not appear. 0. So, wondering about those corners and what they can do. I think you saw that yesterday, along with the ability to be physical and tackle and do all those things on those screens. Also, shout out to Keontae Scott, man. I thought he was excellent at nickel, flying around. Major difference to have him and nickel. Let those outside guys stay on the outside. Ran into him today. He was over the moon. He's really excited to get to work. The vibe around the program was great this morning, but obviously they know they still got work to do. So I think it's more just like you work so hard, they're just enjoying it, but they also know they're like excited to get on the field and show how real it is, right? So it's a nice energy there where it's not complacent, but it's happy and it's confident. Other positions I want to get to, defensive end we talked about, Ruben Bain. Let me know if I'm wrong. Again, I'm saying these very homer takes because I believe him, number one. But number two is I want someone to check me and tell me what I'm missing. I did not see, and I watched every game that was featuring basically ranked opponents against each other and then the highlights of 10 more, 15 more games. I did not see a better player on the defensive side of the ball, quite frankly, either side of the ball, than Ruben Bain. I did not see that. If you saw that, let me know in the chat. Pro Football Focus, which again, that's not an end all be all, but I like to cite it when it matches what I'm seeing. So I just have a second source to back up what I'm seeing with my eyes. He had like a 93.5 grade, which is like off the charts for the game, run defense and pass defense. He is so powerful against the run. His ability to knock guys back, to use his hands, to be stout with his lower body, to be low, to win the leverage game, the motor, the relentlessness. You saw the interception, how much he ran to the ball before the ball found him. Just the energy that he played with the ball found him. Closing the game. That's why Green Bay paid so much money for Micah Parsons to be their closer. He was able to close the game along with Akeem Messidor, who looked phenomenal. His weight loss, you see the difference, the twitchiness. He's always been good with his hands, always been a talented scrapper. But man, his change of direction, his twitch just looks different. You can tell he's taking care of his body. I did the storm sessions with him, which he was another great, great guest. Talked about how he's really working on his body from a professional standpoint, nutrition. He's swimming. He's doing yoga. He's doing all these things. You see it on the field. Extremely twitchy and explosive. Shout out to Akeem Messidor. He's making himself a pro prospect, and beyond that, a really, really good Miami Hurricane. His career numbers, when it's all said and done, are going to be really, really high when you look at what he's done from a TFL and sack standpoint. Other guys I want to highlight, Marquise Lightfoot, really fast out there when he was on the field, had a hurry against CJ Carr. Just he runs like a receiver, man. He can really, really go. Defensive tackle. I love how these guys played. People always ask, who's our fourth DT? I think you saw it last night. Armando Blunt will play a lot of that role, and he's going to bring a tremendous athlete to that spot. He was also very physical and a big hustle player. But every team is trying to find defensive tackles. So teams are really not going to get by on their fourth and fifth defensive tackle. It's going to be about, number one, who can avoid injuries, which is some luck. And then number two, the guys that you have on top, how good are they? And I think we saw with David Blay. David Blay, man, first of all, he looked good. I say like the whole team looked good. And when I say look good, I mean, you turn on the TV and you see him and you're like, that looks like a 5-star. That looks like a real dude. Blay passed that test for me, even though he's a portal guy that was a no-star recruit out of high school. The ability to get in the backfield. He's great at handling double teams. He's just a very tough guy to stay blocked. He has great kind of wiggle and movement when he is engaged. And he also showed that ability with the first step, which I think was more than people thought he had. He was excellent. Justin Scott, 5-star. You saw the speed and athleticism for a big guy and the force once that speed and athleticism hits a target. When he forced that fumble, that was an incredible play. And then Ahmad Moten, man. Go back and watch the film of some of these Ahmad Moten pass rushes. The play where CJ Carr did that no-look touchdown, Ahmad Moten ran by a guy like he was standing still. Another play that led to a throwaway. It was like a straight-up one-on-one with one of these highly rated guards, and he didn't lay a finger on him. This guy is super quick, great change of direction. He was outstanding pass rushing, Ahmad Moten. So, shout out to him and that whole group. Linebackers I thought played well. Wesley Basanthus, again, another guy I was talking to here at the Hecht. He was laughing about how he fell I don't know if you guys were at the stadium, you saw they have the video of everybody running out the tunnel, and Wesley Basanth fell when he was running out the tunnel and looked like he got hurt. I was having a heart attack. Ended up being fine, and he channeled that energy to be really, really physical. Jeremiah Love did nothing in this game, and I'm not a Jeremiah Love critic. It's not like I'm like, oh, look at this guy's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. I think he ran into a very good rush defense that stymied him. 10 carries, 33 yards, 3 touchdowns, no touchdowns. So West did a great job. Popo Aguirre, another one who I was talking to today. He was over the moon, excited. You saw him play and what he did. He was running sideline to sideline. Some great open field tackles on Jeremiah Love. So he's someone we haven't talked about a ton, but he stepped up huge, and he looks like a really, really big part of this defense. Motore, there was some miscommunication with Jacoby Thomas on that coverage bust. I don't know exactly who was responsible, but they were the ones involved. But I'll tell you that his physicality, the tone that both he brings and then Jacoby Thomas brings to this defense as veteran players that are kind of hit first, ask questions later guys, I think has made a huge difference. We did not have guys last year that are just trying to hit people. They just want to hit people. They want to kind of test the limits of the whistles. They just want to hit. We didn't have enough guys like that last year. We had that with Jacoby Thomas. We had that with Motore. Damari Brown, quite frankly, as a corner, I think has some of that nastiness to him. And you saw him make that great play on that on the interception where he broke on the screen. So shout out to Damari Brown. But I think we just have more guys that are just out there looking to hit, and that's going to improve our defense tremendously. Safety-wise, I mentioned Jacoby Thomas trying to hit everything that moves. Made a nice tackle on that long run. That was guaranteed touchdown last year. This year, able to stop it. You had a chance to potentially stop him. Didn't work out, but good hustle there by Jacoby Thomas. The Notre Dame running back was waving bye-bye before he even scored. Did not score. Overall, man, just a really great team win. Pete covered the kicking game pretty good on his show, but we had a comment here early in the chat, which is what the reality is. Pete says this as a joke, but it is 100% the truth. The ball sounds a little different coming off the foot of Carter Davis, man. He is absolutely talented when it comes to kicking with power. He can drive the ball in those touchbacks. That's what he was brought in for, but now he showed that he can also make field goals. He's been doing that throughout camp. He won the job fair and square over Bert Auburn. It wasn't like Bert Auburn had some sort of meltdown or something. It was just a straight battle that Carter Davis won. I think because of the superior leg strength, he just upside-wise, because he has that power leg, he can do so much. I've seen him hit 58-yarders in practice, thereabouts. The one he hit yesterday would have been good from like 65. So he looked good. The operation, which we've been bragging on, the operation being improved, first play, messed up the snap and didn't work out. So I felt kind of done for hyping up the operation, but they got it together after that. Long season, first game. I think they're going to get that together. And obviously they finished strong in that front. No issues after that play. Return. Keelan Marion had a nice return. When he did return it, I thought he showed you why he was an All-America. And then Malachi Toney, just like he is a receiver, I sleep like a baby with him. He just makes it look so easy, so instinctive, so just so natural in what he does. So really like what he's done. And overall, man, I'm fired up about the Canes. What can I tell you? If you have questions, let me know in the chat. But I'm just extremely excited about what the Miami Hurricanes are doing. Also, want to talk about our friends at Cash Kick. Cash Kick. So this thing, people think this is like some kind of like too good to be true deal. And I'm telling you, it's a real thing. Cashkick.com, KASHKICK. You get some side money, some extra money, not your income, but side money, real money, just for playing games. If you're a gamer, you like to play games on your phone, you can earn extra money, real money, and it's safe, it's secure. You look at the website, this thing is vetted. This thing is on various media platforms. It is 100% legit. You're talking about 5 million people doing this thing. So just a very legit operation, rewards and loyalty program. You see some of the customers that said, great, really get the money. This app is perfect for learning about new apps and earning real money through your PayPal. Love this company. They are so honest. The site's great. I love it. Various testimonials there. But yeah, cashkick.com, KASHKICK.com. Join the 5 million who are using that to make some extra money. All I got to do is play some video games. Pretty sweet deal. Also, want to talk about my boy, the Orchid Man. He was at the game yesterday, emotional as always. Love the Orchid Man, one of the best dudes around, and a landscape artisan. Don't let the name fool you. It's not about just selling a couple plants and orchids. This is about a full-scale landscaping operation. Landscape Artisans, 786-271-0332. Also at orchidmanflorida.com. You've seen those OM trucks all over South Florida. This is someone who does the whole operation, makes landscaping easy for your business or your home. Sprinkler repair, irrigation system, rain gutters, hurricane prep, landscape lighting, manicured maintenance, tree trimming, tree removal and relocation, tree stump grinding, fertilizing, you name it. They do it at orchidmanflorida.com. So shout out to the Orchid Man. There it is, Orchid Man. Let's go. Rajai Maya saying, Justin Scott proves me wrong. He was dominating. And, the truth is, man, some of these guys, and this is something I want to stress, I think most of the time guys practice like they play or play like they practice. You see that with like the CJ Daniels catch I showed you. A lot of the stuff that Malachi Toney, you see it in practice. Some guys play even better in the games. I think Justin Scott's somebody who played well during practice, but I think people were like, I really want to see how he cranks it up in the game. And now having seen that, like my man Fonzie says, it's starting to look a certain way in Coral Gables with a 5-star player like Justin Scott that can move, that's big. These are war daddies. These are what you pay big money for. This is what Georgia and Alabama had for so many years that we did not have. I don't know if we have the depth of some of those great Georgia teams where it's first round, because that's not the way the portal allows you to build a team anymore, no matter who you are. But yeah, when you have a David Blay and you have a Justin Scott and then an Ahmad Moten is beating guys off the snap with quickness and speed and getting into the backfield like no problem. I think that shows you the difference at the defensive tackle position. Yeah, great meeting you, Coach, at the Lickin'. Said babyface Tony, what a coming out party. Yeah, man. Again, appreciate meeting you, Coach. And I know you enjoyed that Lickin'. That food was great out there. But yeah, with Malachi, that's what he does, man. That's what he did at practice. Nobody that was at practice was surprised by what Malachi Toney did. You heard Mario and Carson Beck say secret weapon. I kind of felt guilty when they said that because I felt like I was giving away the secret a little bit on the CanesInSight podcast, but I was holding back. Like, this guy, I knew was one of our best players, and I think you saw that there, and you see what he can do with his ability to change directions, his ability to get open, his ability to catch the football, track the football. Antonio Brown was tweeting about Malachi Toney. You saw Jackson Smith and Jibba. I think I screwed that up. The slot receiver for the Seattle Seahawks, talking and tweeting about Malachi Toney. Taylor Luan from the Tennessee Titans now has Bussin' with the Boys podcast. He was talking about Malachi Toney. He was a hot topic among former and current NFL players, and that's always a good sign. Reggie Wayne compared him to T.Y. Hilton. There were a few guys that compared him to T.Y. Hilton. Darius Butler, another former Colt, South Florida guy. He compared Toney to T.Y. Hilton. I don't know if he has the pure speed of those guys, but I think he's even better, quite frankly, when it comes to running the ball, running routes, catching the ball, and just being sturdy. See what else is here. Kevin Andino says, I wish they would have tested our DBs more. I'm glad they didn't. we got plenty of testing last year. I like the less testing, to be honest with you, but I know what you're saying, just to see what they could do. Charles King saying more JoJo and Lofton. Like I said earlier in the show, I think you're going to see both of those guys more as they were banged up in camp. We can talk freely now. We're all friends now. We beat Notre Dame. We can talk freely about these things. They were hurt in camp. Nothing serious, but they were banged up. They were on pitch counts. I think they missed more than the injury. It was about Carson Beck, who's a new quarterback coming in, did not play spring, barely played summer, played half a summer, not having the time to build that chemistry with Lofton and Trader like he had with the Malachi Toney, with the CJ Daniels. So I think this is going to have the more time they spend together, the healthier they get, the more confidence they get. You're going to see those guys playing big roles as the season goes on. Hassan asking, D, was Lucas playing? He played more than any corner on the roster, according to the snap counts they put out, and you didn't see him. So that's good news. That means he was playing ball. He did run down the tight end on that break, used his speed. So that was a good way to see him. Had a nice hit too. So he had his tackling wise, he was good, but they didn't throw it at him, man. He's super talented and fast, and a lot of future big moments for Xavier Lucas. Almost 3,400 on the live, man. Like and subscribe. Mo said, it's already too late. The Hurricanes have arrived. Dude, you've been yelling to fill up the Rock for months, and the Rock was full. So all those super chats did their job. Shout out to you, Mo Hussein, man, for doing what you do. Appreciate your support. Yeah, we had all those big timers in the building, a lot of big recruits. Everybody always asks me what the big recruits. We got to send them to Islas Canarias. I was out there myself at Islas Canarias. It was a tremendous dining experience. I want to say I went there on Friday. The cubaritos are outstanding. They're just super convenient. All the Cuban flavors that you're used to, but in a burrito package, which is not typical. It's not traditional, but it's super convenient, easy to grab and go. They had little potato sticks. Those little papitas. It was an awesome meal. And if you go to Islas Canarias, I promise you're going to get the traditional plus the new, plus stuff you never even heard of, like kimchi croquetas. If you don't eat meat, they take care of you. But if you eat meat, they got plenty of meat. The OG ham, #1 croqueta in Miami, in the world, voted all the time. Pan con bistec, which is the steak. Pan con lechon, which is the pork sandwich. You got every single type of meat, fish under the sun at Islas Canarias Express in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. Shout out to John and the whole team. It was packed when I was there, and the food was well worth it. There's a reason why there's a line. It's the best place in town. There is no number two. A lot of questions on Nick Lanier. I heard he's a stud from same program as Malachi Toney, Raw Miami. So Coach Duasso, had Malachi. Now he has Nick Lanier. He says they're cut from a similar cloth in terms of just being those instinctive ballers, those playmakers. Lanier's a super talented athlete. He's one of those guys that like backflipping out of the gym and all that kind of stuff. Syracuse was the favorite for a while. Now you're seeing Steve Wilpon crystal ball him to Miami. I'll find out the scoop on that. He's also a potential reclass from everything I've heard. I just don't know because coaches don't really know. Like I said before, they don't do those reclasses because they don't want to be stealing high school coaches' players. That's not really their MO. But I've heard from non sources that Lanier might be a reclass. So that's something to keep an eye on. A lot of people love Nick Lanier. I'm one of them. I think he's an outstanding player. And just because we had the orange out already doesn't mean you can't get stuff at the Miami Hurricane team store. You can still get your clothes ready for the rest of the season. It doesn't even have to be orange anymore, although it can be if you want. Use promo code INSIGHT20. You get 20% off your first item. You got all this cool different types of headwear. Look at all this stuff, man. You got volleyball, soccer, football, baseball, the camo, the old school, the new school, the mesh, the flat bill, the bent brim, which is more my style, the baseball hats, both colors. Anything you need, they got at the Miami Hurricane team store, the official Miami Hurricane shop, MiamiHTS.com. Promo code INSIGHT20, 20% off. Shout out to Harry and Jeremy. Oh, here's Notre Dame fan in the chat, in the comment. 3-point win. Get over yourselves. We played bad, and you got that lucky TD at the end of the half on 3rd and 10 and twice deflected INT. Game at Notre Dame, we win by 14. Look, I mean, your best players were completely dominated. Your freshman quarterback played out of his mind towards the end. And, yeah, I mean, I respect Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is a real program. I think it was a great win for Miami. But you were getting pushed around, my friend, up front. There's nothing fluky about your tackles where you were so proud of getting pushed back to the quarterback like a s'more by Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor. That's not a fluke. That's called having better players than your opponents. And your opponents, those are guys you were counting on, those tackles. And now, different opinion of those tackles now that they played the Miami Hurricanes. And then the offensive line against your defensive line, tremendous mismatch as well. So, and the corners completely dominated these receivers that we heard about all summer about how Notre Dame had the best receivers in the country. I don't believe they caught a pass down the field other than a complete miracle catch on great coverage. So I think Notre Dame is a great program. I think they're going to have a great shot at the playoffs. And I also think at very important positions, they got completely dominated physically by a superior talent of a team with the Miami Hurricanes and first round type players at defensive end, first round type players and the offensive line, first round type players at quarterback, first round type players at corner. I think those matchups, Notre Dame just wasn't talented enough and got beat. Javier Mercado, $2. Appreciate your support on the super chat. Said, Yo, D, where can we watch the game? YouTube. They'll have the condensed game and probably the full game too. Just go to YouTube and write just Notre Dame Miami full game. That should pop up. Joe Long said, Emil Wagner soft and slow. Knapp is small and slow. I was hearing these guys were the best, and this is a Notre Dame fan. I was hearing these guys were the best tackles in the country. By the way, Joe Long says, I appreciate your support of this show. Go back and look. I did a video when I talked about Notre Dame's tackles. And if you guys watch the show, you'll remember this. I went and I said, I looked at Notre Dame's offense, and I think their tackles are smaller and weaker than they're being billed. And I pointed to the Texas A&M game, and I said, look, these guys were knocking them back easily. You're talking about 300-pounders going against big defensive ends. I think we have a big power advantage as defensive end. I think these guys, like I'm used to the offensive tackles at Miami who are monsters, 330-pound plus beast. And I said, Notre Dame's not that. They're just a lot smaller and weaker. You can go watch the video. I have it in the archives. The Notre Dame fans were all, in fact, let me pull this up because I'm petty now. And you know, again, I'm not disrespecting Notre Dame because I respect it. I think Marcus Freeman's a stud. I think that he's great. I'm a big Notre Dame. I don't say fan, probably more of a Notre Dame hater, certainly, but I'm a Notre Dame respecter, right? And so I made this video here. Let's see, where I was talking about Notre Dame fans, pundits. Like there was a couple tweets basically saying, let me pull this up right here so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the video right here. Is Notre Dame underrating the Canes? And it was about people saying that Notre Dame's offensive line was so superior to Miami's offensive line and all these guys. And I said, I watched Notre Dame. Their tackles are small. Their tackles are weak. And I think we're going to outpower them. And I use the Texas A&M game as an example. Now look at the comments. Here, well, let's see what they said here. Let's see. Basically saying, I don't know football. You're talking about an offensive line that was young. Here we go. Here it is. Here's Thomas. Thomas. If your research tells you that Miami is a better offensive line than Notre Dame, you need to research a lot more. Okay. Here it is. Let's see what's going on. What else? That told me to research a lot more. I think our O-line is good, not elite. That's one of our own fans. No, man. Well, we're pretty elite. But then basically, they were saying that you are overhyping this Texas A&M game because we had young players. I mean, Notre Dame had young players, and that you're really just not realizing the fact that those guys got a lot better since that Texas A&M game, and they're going to continue to develop, and that just did not happen. They did develop some, but they're still just body type wise not up to par with what Miami was doing at defensive tackle and Miami as a tackle. Miami, I said it then, I'll say it again. There's no comparing Miami's tackles and what they have from a size and athleticism standpoint to Notre Dame, and you saw it. So that's not going to change. I don't know if there's going to be tackles coming out the woodwork for Notre Dame. You said they would beat it by 14. Are they going to have the same tackles that got dominated by Ruben Bain and Messidor when they go up? If this game was in South Bend, would those tackles get bigger, longer, more athletic, stronger, bigger? And I don't think so. So I just think what you saw is key positions. Miami was better than Notre Dame, more talented, better coach, better, and they won for that reason. Probably should have won by more. But anyways, I digress. Fun game. Great win for the Miami Hurricanes. We'll be talking about it a ton. We'll be doing 1 million shows this week. So like and subscribe. Got 3,600 people on. We'll be talking recruiting as well because there's a lot of recruits. I'll catch up on all that. Overall, I'm fired up, man. There's a real team. There's a real program. We got a chance to do special things. I'm going to say it again. We always talk about Charlotte. We got to get to Charlotte. We got to get through Charlotte. We got to win the ACC. But this is a team that can be playing on January 19th. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Nothing we say is going to make a difference anyways because we're not the ones doing it. Hopefully they're thinking about the next practice, the next workout instead of January 19th, but I can because I'm a fan. January 19th, Hard Rock Stadium. Miami won the championship at home. I said it in the Hype podcast. You thought I was joking. I was being serious. I don't lie on those Hype podcasts. This is what I believe. 1983, won the championship at home. 1987, played FSU, UF, Notre Dame. Same season, undefeated, won the championship at home. 1991, won the championship at home. 2025, and then into the next year, January 19th, 2026. That game is at home in Hard Rock. Hope to see you guys all there. Like and subscribe to the show. Go Canes.